After 11 days of waiting and $2,000 spent, 4 emails and 3 phone calls later, our Gotrax GX3 finally shows up. Let's haul this beast inside, get it set up, and do a full unboxing, as if YouTube needs another one of those.
Hi, and welcome to Yeti at Large. This is a channel focused on making the most out of what you have, no matter where you're at. Thanks for tuning in and helping out.
Now, anybody who's watched Yeti at Large for any amount of time knows that I have a keen eye for things and I'm not afraid to speak up when I'm unhappy. But I have to say that Gotrax did such an excellent job of designing and engineering the packaging to protect this GX3 scooter that this is an A+ job. As I go through the boxes, I discover the castle nut that holds the tiller vertical, well done, an air extender to make it easy to reach the tires, the hardware, tools they've included, and plenty of informational material including the instruction manual and other important supplementary information. They used a quality zip tie, foam padding, and cardboard. This packaging was designed by an engineer, no doubt. As we remove it from the box, we discover there's very little to do to assemble the vehicle, short of posting up the tiller handle. And since this is aluminum with steel fasteners, we're going to be very careful to work our way towards the packaging materials. These wrenches leave a lot to be desired. We leave the display console loose so that when you fold the tiller handle down, it can rotate out of the way. There was nothing wrong with the preparation and the delivery of this vehicle. Not a scratch, nick, or defect to be found. This tiller handle folds down with the pull of a pin, and that supplementary castle nut, not sure if that's what they call it, secures the tiller handle as a supplementary device. The nice thing about it is that you don't have to unthread the tiller bolt every time you want to fold the tiller handle down. You just have to loosen it so that those 2 cleats retract enough that it can fold backwards. Clever design, Gotrax. We snug it down, double check the fit, and I'm impressed. We'll check the torque on these head tube bolts later, but for right now, let's get to work on the cockpit. Again, the display console with that protective screen and the throttle lever are in the way. We leave the display screen slightly loose, but we angle the throttle, the brake levers, and the grips to follow that natural fall of your arm straight from your shoulders along the line of your hands. That way the controls are in the safest location where a natural reflexive reach for them will find them. You can see the power module, the motor selection, transmission, horn, and turn signals are already placed in a good location. I did think it was odd that Gotrax spec'd a 3-4-5 series of Allen bolts, but only provided the 4 and 5 wrenches for that. Most mountain bike 3-way wrenches are a 4-5-6, but Gotrax decided to buck the system here. Also, the hardware that they provided, those Allen wrenches, should be a hex head, meaning they have a float and you can adjust them at an angle. Rather, they chose the cheap wrenches to send. It's no harm, I suppose. There's nothing more gratifying than peeling off those screen protectors. Now that the cockpit is set up, let's check the tire pressures. I don't need the extender they've had because I have this nice tire pressure gauge that gives a digital readout up to 150 psi. The front tire was showing 59.1 pounds. They're rated for 50 pounds max, so I adjusted that. The rear tire, however, was spot on at 50.1. Excellent. Now that we know the tires are set up, let's spend some quality time and thoroughly slow read the instructions. There's a lot of good information in there, and committing it to memory will be very useful downrange for operation. I'm only flipping the pages for dramatic effect. Ooh, look at that. A nice feature of the Gotrax GX3 is the dual charging ports with dual chargers provided. That's quite a value. When you try to power up the scooter with the chargers plugged in, it won't power up, but it will show you the voltage inputs.
With a properly configured cockpit, brake levers, throttle, everything at the right angle, the display left just snug so that we can move it out of the way for the latching mechanism. The head tube configured. A lot of people make a fuss over these trim rings thinking that it's stylish. Well, back in the day we used to say chrome don't get you home and friends don't let friends ride neon. I don't mind them, but I don't think they're anything special. I do enjoy the dual charging ports, the rebound adjustment on the shocks. I appreciate twin coilovers instead of a monoshock. If one fails, then I can still get home. The disc brakes are set up well, the pad's good. They say there's no user serviceable parts in here, so if the battery goes south, that's going to require a whole nother episode. This is a good looking and well built platform. I do believe that the hardware that has been spec'd for this is the appropriate grade, and looking inside of it, the electrical connectors seem to have been improved to the point where those won't be a fail point. We're looking at a reliable and potentially trustworthy vehicle for commuting on. Now, one of my big concerns that I have is actually with the company and their customer service and their public relations campaign. Now, that may be disconnected to the build and the quality of the vehicle, but it can have a profound effect on me as the customer. I've spent my entire professional life in customer service and public relations in one form or another. And I am an expert at this, and when I tell you, Gotrax, you're losing this battle one bite at a time, I'm just not being a cute chef metaphor. From the phone calls, to the unanswered emails, to the fact that your sales department started spamming me for upgrades, add-ons, and other sales before I'd even received my vehicle, after what accounted for an 11-day delay, it's not going to work out well in the long run. I wonder how many customers you lose when people feel that you're not hearing them or focused on their needs and not willing to send you their hard-earned money. I'm hoping in the future, and we'll do a durability test downrange, if I have warranty, customer service, or mechanical service issues, how is this company going to behave when I raise my hand and need help? I'm skeptical, I'm worried, but now that we're fully charged up, we're completely configured, let's get to what matters most, the ride. The manufacturer says this weighs a hair over 90 pounds, but with the way it's designed, I find it easy to handle in and out of the RV or my office. Let's go for a ride.
Now, there's no way I was going to film my actual first rides, but here I am cruising up and down old Route 66, stopping in some places and getting a real long distance test of over 17 miles, including steep hill climbs, off-road, and top speed. Initially, I discovered the throttle control is very twitchy, with little difference between all or nothing, especially if you start in second or third gears. I became very adept at shifting gears. Here I am at about 28 miles an hour. It carves very smooth, tracks the corners well, and doesn't have any of that wobble that you might find from other scooters. It handled the cattle guards very clear, and now, with a strong crosswind and cold northern Arizona winter days, we're going to try a flat-out test where it accelerated right to the 38.5 miles an hour it's rated to. Up in the top left corner, you can see the San Francisco peaks off in the distance. But as we approach a very steep hill, I know the camera flattens it out a bit, We're going to test the power of this scooter with my 254 pounds and 6 foot 6 inch frame on it. We started at the bottom of this hill at 38.5 miles an hour, and as we climbed the just slightly under 1 mile length of this hill, we topped out at 28.8 miles an hour. That's not bad considering what we're asking of an electric vehicle. It was at this point in our test, 4.5 miles in, that the first bar of the battery status indicator dropped. Doesn't alarm me and it doesn't surprise me. Gotrax advertises the range of this vehicle at 60 miles. I consider that highly unlikely, especially given that I'm probably twice the weight of the average rider and that they weren't calibrating it for such steep hills. What was impressive though is as we crest over the top of this hill, the scooter reclaimed its top speed quickly and powered along in a very confident manner. You've got to note here in northern Arizona, there's a lot of cinders on the edge of the road, and they're like riding on ball bearings, so we're doing our best to stay away from those. Even with a strong crosswind, with full throttle in third gear, the vehicle was very stable and very, very reliable, giving rise to some confidence. I played around a little bit with ducking down out of the wind before I turned onto one of my favorite trails, Keyhole Sink. Look it up. There's some great petroglyphs out here. Through the magic of Hollywood, the gate opens up and we're going to do some off-roading. Now, we're not in the loose, sandy, loamy soils of Southern California. We're not climbing a lot, but we have very technical trail riding threading between the jagged rocks on this trail, and the GX3 did a great job. It's quite a treat to have an electric scooter that can handle such off-road terrain.
So, we've been riding Old Route 66 in between Flagstaff and Williams, Arizona. I love coming up here. Haven't done a real endurance test on this yet. We're going to test this battery soon with a very long distance ride and see what we get out of it. We're also going to test it on one of the steepest roads we can find, Snowbowl Road. You'll see that mountain in our earlier footage. It's about a 7-mile road and it gains about 2,800 feet in altitude. I want to see if the GX3 can make it up that. In the meantime, this is an off-road scooter. So what makes this a trail-rated scooter? Well, these swing arms with coil-over adjustable shocks really help. The fact that there's 2 shocks on either side is a real bonus in case one of those shocks fail. This is pretty solid hardware. Couple of the Achilles heels that you'll find with an off-road vehicle like this though, look how exposed the brake calipers are. You want to be real careful not to bang that on the rocks. Just like any good machine, an airplane, a boat, a race car, you don't ask anything from this vehicle that's in excess of what you absolutely need, the bare minimum. The other thing that we truly love about this is the extreme ground clearance. What's great about this is it's tall enough to clear most curb and some stairs, but off-road, it gives you the ability to thread the needle. The durability test that we're going to end up doing is going to go hundreds, if not thousands of miles. Right now, we're showing 76 miles on this. One thing I forgot to mention though, with the dual motors front and rear, it really handles the loose and sandy and loamy stuff really well, but on this kind of technical riding, it really balances the ride. The only thing that leaves a little bit to be desired, the throttle control. It's all or nothing, it's real twitchy. It requires a lot of finesse.
I'm laughing at myself at this point because the scooter's doing 90% of the work, but I'm still huffing and puffing at 7,000 feet. I'm the veteran of over 120 NORBA, sport level, and expert elite level mountain bike races, including an Olympic qualifier. I've ridden Portal Trail. So my experience level with off-road vehicles rates is very high, but apparently my current physical conditioning is low. As I get back out onto the road, we're going to open it up and try another high-speed test to see what the vehicle can do on semi-flat old Route 66. And as you can see, it accelerates quickly, and she gets down the road just fine. Nothing like having your knees in the breeze. I did find it interesting that the computer controls modulated the power output on the downhills, and the top speed stayed at that 38.5 miles an hour all the way down this hill, even though most of it was coasting. I want to thank you so much for joining us for this unboxing and our initial testing of the vehicle. Gotrax, right now you get an A- on the vehicle, a C- on customer service, and a B average on delivery. Stay tuned for more.